Good morning, everyone. This is Mr. Shields back again with another video. I've got a few more vocabulary words for you guys to add to your repertoire as far as logic is concerned. We have statement, negation, compound statements, conjunction, and disjunction. So I do have a copy, blank copy of this note sheet for you guys, so you can print them out, and as you watch the lesson, you can kind of fill in the blanks right along with me. If you don't have access to a printer, you can just always go ahead and write them by hand on a sheet of notebook paper. So I'm making this video so that you can kind of do your notes at your own pace. Some of you work a little faster than others, and some of you, if you don't have access to this sheet to be able to print it up, obviously it's going to take you a little bit longer. So I just wanted to account for that discrepancy, and let's dive right into our notes here. So our very first word is the word statement. And so think of a statement like something you would tell a police officer. That statement could either be true or it could be false. Okay, so it's a sentence that is either true or false here. And so in logic terms, we refer to this kind of a statement that's either true or false as a truth value. And one of the things that you're going to see in this unit is the use of symbols, which shouldn't be too unfamiliar to you because this is, after all, math. And so those truth values can be represented using the symbols such as P and Q. So get very comfortable with those two symbols. So they gave us an example statement here. It says supplementary angles have a sum of 180 degrees. Is that true? Well, yes, it is true. Okay. Our next term, negation. Do not be confused by the word negation. Usually people think, oh, it's just referring to negative. No, no, no. It is just referring to when a statement has the opposite of the truth value. Okay, and the key word being opposite here. Okay, and so it can be represented by the symbol, this kind of little squiggly line here, read as not P. And so they gave us an example here underneath, very similar to the other one, only the opposite here. So the negation, or not P, supplementary angles do not have a sum of 180 degrees. And that obviously is false. Our next term, referring to compound statements here. And by compound statements, we're really talking about two or more statements joined by the words I'm even going to change colors on my pen because I think these are so important for you. Either and, or the lowercase, capitalized, I should say, or. Okay, so those are going to be very, very, very important as far as discerning between the differences here. So either and or. Okay. Taking a look at a conjunction here. And so hopefully the word that jumps out at you when you think of the word conjunction here is statements joined by the word and. And I realize the or up here doesn't really show all that well with the blue, but you get the idea here. And so there's a symbol for that and statement, and that symbol is like so. And the way I remember or distinguish between the conjunction symbol and the disjunction symbol, if you notice when I was making that capital A for and, that looks awfully similar to the symbol that I put up right here. All right, so that's one way of distinguishing it here. So when I have a conjunction here, it is true when both statements are true. Okay, so both parts of my conjunction have to be true before I can say it's true. Now, let's converse that with disjunction here, which are statements joined by the word or. And that is written as P, let me see the little V symbol here, in between. Now, when I have a disjunction here, the disjunction is true when at least one statement is true. Okay, I only need one part of that statement to be true so that I can say my whole disjunction is true. Converse that with the conjunction, which both parts have to be true. So it's going to be very important with these next few examples that you take a look to determine whether or not I have a conjunction or a disjunction, because that's going to determine how you answer the truth value of it. So let's take a look at some examples here. All right, so given the statements below, write compound statements, then determine their truth value. So let's take a look at these individually here. So for P, we have, there are 7 days in a week. Is that true? Well, hopefully we can all agree that yes. March has 30 days. That is not true. False. We have 31 days. And Halloween is on October 31st. That is true. So let's go ahead and write some compound statements here. And so if I look at my symbol here, that's kind of letting me know I have a conjunction right out of the gate. But I'm going to write it based upon the 3 given statements here. So it's very formulaic in that way. So I'm going to go ahead and write, there are 7 days in a week, and March has 30 days. So since this is a conjunction, we have the and here. That's my little symbol for and, but I think most of you guys know that. I have to have both parts of my statement to be true. So are there 7 days in a week? Yes, that part's true. But does March have 30 days? No. So since both parts are not true, I have to say the truth value is false. Let's take a look at the next example here. We have also a conjunction here. So we have the Q and R. So I'm just going to go ahead and combine those with the word and. So we can say March has 30 days and Halloween is on October 31st. So once again, both parts have to be true. Does March have 30 days? No. And since that part is false and this other part is true, we're going to have to say that it has a truth value is also false. Okay. Let's take a look at number 3 here. We've got P and R. P and R. So I'm going to go ahead and just write that compound statement, which says there are 7 days in a week and Halloween is on October 31st. Now let's take a look at this truth value here, why don't we? So the first part of this compound statement is in fact true. There are 7 days in a week. And the second part of this compound statement, Halloween is on the 31st. So in this case, our truth value, both parts are true. So we can say this conjunction has a true value. Okay. So let's go ahead. I've got one more page here. Just got a few more examples with you. There is quite a lot of writing here. So let's just go ahead on. And one thing you might want to do is you might want to keep that little sheet here in front of you so that you can remember the 3 sentences here, because we're still going to be working with those, okay? But I'm going to keep mine over to the side so I have room to write. So I think you guys should be good. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at example number 4. That is also a conjunction, But I noticed that something else is going on here. My green pen. I also see that I have this little symbol here. And that little symbol, if you remember from our front page, indicates there needs to be a negation here. All right, so a negation of P and Q. So what is that going to look like? Well, it's going to look like this here. We're going to have there are not 7 days in a week, and March has 30 days. Okay, and you see that little symbol, that negation symbol here. So that's going to go ahead and change that P from which originally said there are 7 days in a week to now there are not 7 days. So we're still going to judge it based upon the same thing. So since we have a conjunction here, we have to have both parts be true in order for us to say it has a truth value of being true. So if I take a look at this, March does not have 30 days. So based upon this fact alone, or incorrect statement, I should say, we have to say false. Okay. Now, you probably have noticed that the next few examples have that little V symbol. And that V symbol is going to tell us that we're going to be now working with a disjunction here. All right, and so we're going to be using the word or for our compound statements here. So keeping that in mind, let's take a look at our very first one here, PVR. So if I look at this, I have there are 7 days in a week, or Halloween is on October 31st. Okay. So if we take a look at the rules for a disjunction here, just trying to refresh our memories here, a disjunction is true when at least one statement is true. Okay, so both parts do not have to be true in order to say it has a true truth value. So if I take a look at this, the latter part of this statement is in fact true, right? Halloween is on October the 31st. And it just so happens that the first part of that statement, there are 7 days in a week, just happens to be true as well. But remember, we only needed one part of it to be true, not necessarily both when we're dealing with a disjunction here. All right, let's take a look at number 6 here. So we have that little negation symbol here. So if we go back to our original statement here with the Q, which says March has 30 days. So we're going to go ahead and change that since we have that negation symbol here. And we're going to write this as March does not have 30 days. Or Halloween is on October 31st. Okay. Now, we know, thanks to this V-shaped symbol here, that we're dealing with a disjunction. And so only one part of these statements has to be true. Okay? And it just so happens this part here, Halloween is October 31st, or is on October 31st, just happens to be true. And also, ironically enough, March does not have 30 days, happens to be true. But remember, only one part needed to be true. So we have a double negation here, all right? So of our P and our R. So looking at our original statements here, so we're going to have to insert the opposite of each of those statements in order to write it as a compound statement. So let's go ahead and do that now. So for number 7, we can say there are not 7 days in a week. Or Halloween is not on October 31st. All right, just barely fit that one in here. So if I take a look at this statement here, I just need to find one part of it in order to make the whole truth value true. So if I look at this here, there are not 7 days in a week. I know that's false. Halloween is not on October 31st. That's false. And there you have it. Okay, so that disjunction is in fact false. All right, last example here. Number 8, we have a negation of P and a negation of Q here. So let's go ahead and write this out. So we're going to have there are not 7 days in a week. Or March does not have 30 days. Okay, barely fit that one in here. So if I take a look at that, I just need to find at least one part of the statement to be true. So if I take a look here, there are not 7 days in a week. We know this part is distinctly false, but March does not have 30 days. That part of the statement is true. And so remember, for a disjunction, we only need to have at least one part of the statement to be true in order to make that disjunction true. So in this case, we can say that is in fact true. Okay, so what I would like for you guys to do now, if you notice the bottom of this paper, they want you guys to write your own statements here. And I want you guys to practice dealing with these symbols here, because you're going to see them quite a bit going forward. So come up with 3 statements of your own. They can be a combination of true and false statements here. And then you're going to use the symbols in order to actually write out your statements here. All right, guys. Remember, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me via Zoom or also by email. I'll see you guys on the next one. Thank you.